You know, I've made so many of these Final Fantasy V challenge runs and ranking type videos back to back that I'm kind of feeling the urge to just play through the game like a normal person again. It didn't take long after me thinking this to remember. One time I got a comment asking if I'd played through 5 using a retro achievements playthrough, and at the time I thought, probably not, I'm not really an achievement hunter. But now that I'm a few months removed from whenever that was, seems like a good a time as any to do it. Retro achievements is really cool. Some of these achievements are so specific that I really wonder how it works. Like, how is the game tracking what I'm killing the enemies with for some of these? It's kind of on a similar level to Archipelago, this programming magic that makes me imagine if even the sky isn't the limit. Not to mention that it's extremely easy to set up. Just find a ROM, download one of their specialized emulators, and boom, you're good to start playing. It's as user-friendly as you can possibly get. Before we start, I won't be talking about the bestiary and treasure completion achievements, because there's a lot of random missable enemies and chests and stuff, and it would be tedious talking about all of them. Although, I will bring up the bestiary thing later. If you're planning on doing this run, just follow this Steam guide linked in the description. I'm also not going to bother bringing up the story completion achievements because, you know, as long as you beat the game, you'll get them. Anyways, I'm going to be flying through this plot real quick, so strap yourself in. We're getting right through all the intro tutorial stuff. Off the bat, we're going to the pub to spy on Ferris. I'm not sure if you can wait to get this one until after getting the jobs, but during this playthrough I always got the optional cutscene achievements as soon as they are available, and doing that never failed me. Right after that we're sailing back to the pirate cave, and for some reason I never actually thought to do this on the boat. I always wait till I have the dragon to go visit Boko, but I guess that explains why the chest rewards in here are so lame. Nothing of note happens on the way up the shrine, and the raptor is beaten by only using the attack command. No row, no defend, and no items. I've done this on a lot of runs, and I can imagine a lot of you guys have too, so as far as a first special boss kill achievement goes, this is very reasonable. I spent the next like 30 minutes grinding up double grip, learning, and flee on a bunch of people, as well as stealing potions, because what else am I going to do with the thief at this point? And then before moving into the canal, I get Goblin Punch, Arrow, Vampire, the level 1 black and white magic, the first of 8 pianos. There's a lot of stuff at once in that first town. Carlobos' special achievement requires that he's beaten using Thunder. I don't remember if it's like the Raptor where you're only supposed to use Thunder, but you kill the boss in like 5 attacks, so like whatever. After we get to the ship graveyard, I immediately have to bank south to grab the flail for this boss's achievement, which is actually one of the most annoying in the entire run. I can only deal damage with Galof using the flail, and using a low damage version of an axe this early in the game is exactly as fun as you think it is. Thank God that Siren's buffs go away when she changes form, or else haste would be extremely irritating. Plus she never slowed Galof, so those things combined with having 3 white mages means that getting the achievement is just extremely tedious at worst. If Galof does get hit with slow though, you probably should just reset. This fight took me like 8 minutes, and I really hope that's on the higher end of potential times. Over in Carwin, before we head to North Mountain, we gotta grab the Frost Rod, the second piano, and all the level 2 magic. Since I have a small stack of ethers laying around, the headstones will eventually give up flash, and I gotta say, this run is probably the most useful flash has ever been for me, but I'll get into that later. But just as achievement is just kill her with the Frost Rod, I guess we're back to the easy ones already. What's kind of funny is that in the achievement comments, there's a guy talking about how he killed Magissa with using the Frost Rod as an actual attacking weapon, and I kind of feel bad for that guy. Also, feel like I'm forgetting something. Something important. Well, whatever, it's probably nothing. Now that the dragon is ours, I head back for the first of many Tycoon Castle scenes with Ferris and Lena. There's like 3 or 4 of these in the game. I didn't know there were this many, so I can give credit to the achievements for letting me know about a surprisingly high amount of things I was unaware of. I get all the stuff in the treasury, but I never end up using it. I'm so far past the point of caring about the healing staff and its slow-ass animation. Down in Waltz, I get the first time and summon spells, Do Not Let the Werewolf Out or You're Screwed, and I flee my way down the basement to get the Elven Mantle. Remember that if you want to get the Bestiary entry for this guy in World 1, come back here with level 5 Death. He's way easier to kill later on though, so you don't have to worry about it too much. Part of Shiva's achievement is that she has to be beaten before Garula and getting the water crystal jobs. So in the meantime, I get Pon's Chorus, grind to get blue magic for everyone, and while I can't beat Garula right now, I can at least visit the tower. Most of my time there is spent stealing mithril swords and daggers for some much needed damage increases and gil, but I was also lucky enough to get a flame rod drop. Now, along with having to beat Shiva right now, meaning you won't have Fyra or the Time Mage, you also need 3 front row knights and a back row mage to mimic how this fight is laid out for the enemies. The flame rod could very easily trivialize this, just use it and obliterate everyone, but I wanted to do this legitimately. I remembered from the level 1 run that the knights are vulnerable to flash, which combined with our shields and elven mantle almost totally takes them out of the fight immediately. Ferris and Galof both have white magic to support everyone while they get wailed on by Shiva's non-stop Blizzaras, which is obviously by far the most dangerous part of the fight. Galof takes a full power Blizzara every other turn, since he has to be the only back row unit, but with 2 white mages, keeping up our HP is really no issue. Galof, also being a black mage boosted by the flame rod, throws out fires whenever he has a free turn, which isn't often, but any damage is good here. Once all the knights get beaten, we're free to wail on Shiva to get the achievement and our first real summon. Garula, like Siren, is mostly just annoying. He has to be killed while he's a toad, and in the Best Jobs run I remember that he failed to untoad himself multiple times, which I was not lucky enough to have happen here. In fact, my own toad spells failed way more than they ever have, so this fight takes like 5 times longer than it needed to. But since Garula will always use his turns on undoing Toad, your party is almost never in any danger. Very easy, but very tedious. At Karnak, after doing some wolf farming, I get more new magic, another piano, and lots of blue magic. The aforementioned wolves gave us question marks, casting thunder on the motor traps gives us self-destruct, and controlling them lets us get missiles super early. I did notice that Shiva's animation is super slow in GBA though. Maybe it's been a long time since I've used summon in this version, or maybe the emulator's kinda jank. It did have some weird audio bugs occasionally, but nothing game-breaking. Liquid Flame is another boss I describe as kind of annoying, because the goal is to make it kill itself in confusion. This is definitely a strategy I could have used for the level 1 run instead of rod breaking. Just let it run out of MP, confuse it, hit it with things like Goblin Punch, and re-confuse it if necessary. Although this iteration of Liquid Flame was very averse to taking any action at all. I was able to get off a lot of attacks before it even considered using something resembling an attack, but a combination of good magic accuracy and or bad magic evasion makes putting the confuse back up a cinch, so eventually it'll take itself out. The castle escape has a really cool stipulation: get all the chests and escape. When I was skimming over the achievement list before starting this playthrough, I definitely fretted about this one, but once I actually thought about it, it really wasn't that bad. We've got 3 knights who do a lot of damage with their swords, and especially Ferris with double grip, plus the animations are really fast compared to the magic. A must-have for a run through the castle like this. Galof mostly just sits in the back row throwing hastes if needed, and is our designated fleer for random encounters, which are very difficult to escape from otherwise. And there's no really well-hidden treasures. The most out-of-the-way ones are the Mengosh and the Elven Mantle, so if you know where those are, you've passed by just about every other chest in this place. You are able to get Era from the Gygases, but I didn't worry about it because I know I can get it much easier in the upcoming library. Once at the end, after slapping Learning on everyone, the wolves get one shot, wait for Deathclaw, and then wait for Deathclaw again, before wailing on him and getting 2 achievements at once. For some reason there's a free flame rod here in Karnak after the fires are gone. I don't know why this is the only non-castle treasure. Anyways, I do some grinding without Lena to uneven our levels, because surprisingly everyone has been alive for all experience gain up till now, which almost never happens to me. You're able to get a good chunk of blue magic here if you're patient enough. Obviously level 5 death is a must. Era, as previously mentioned, Moon Flute, Off Guard from the same guy if you control him, even Magic Hammer from Byblos, although I forgot to get it from him. Gotta wait till World 2 for my next chance, sadly. Ifrit is an interesting boss. I have to kill him while he's under 3 debuffs. Slow is an obvious one, but I want to avoid temporary ones if possible because he's heavy, so those only last a couple seconds, and I'm too lazy to time stuff well. I randomly try Flash, and hey, that actually works. Flash coming in clutch again. For the last one I went with Confuse. Ifrit will Faraga himself to heal for a ridiculous amount, but Blizzara and Shiva will shred his HP. Plus he's under kinda slow, so his turns come around super infrequently, even if he does decide to heal himself. With those three, the achievement is really easy. After that, Byblos is just to kill him with Ifrit, which I like. I was probably gonna do that anyway, so whatever. Just ignore that I almost died doing this. I should have been more careful. On the way back from Karnak, I do a bunch of stuff I neglected until now. Fusion from the Mithril Dragons, Aqua Breath from the Chimera, the Karnak Piano, Turtle Shell farming that I didn't need to do because I think I only used 2 of them in the whole run, and some more Gil farming on the Wolves. Once at Crescent, I get the Speed Song and farm for a bit to get Death Sides. As a bit of behind-the-scenes info, lately I've actually been using save states to get rare drops because I don't want to grind too much Gil or EXP early on. I don't know if the drops are determined by your series of actions, but I always slightly change what I do every time I reload to see if that gets the item to drop. Like, instead of attacking 3 times, I'll attack twice, then use a spell, or attack then use 2 spells. Just switch it up every time. Whether it's necessary or not, it does work, and it saves me a lot of time and prevents me from getting too overleveled. Next, I'm flying to Lix for a bunch of stuff. There's 3 scenes that can be triggered here by resting at the inn to have Bartz defile a grave, talking to one of the NPCs to watch Bartz develop his fear of heights, and play a music box to see the origin story of the defiled grave. The music box thing also gives us Confused Song, which is probably good, but I never use it. I love Stop Song too much. I also stock up on a lot of scrolls, mostly water ones, for reasons you'll see shortly if you don't already know why. History and Jackal are the next destination, and yes, I am literally flying all over the place here, but there's a lot to do. History lets us grab Toad from the flower bed, Stop Song, my beloved, from this bard, and our newest summon in Rama. Jackal has piano number 5, the last in World 1, and I go through Jackal Cave to grab the Blitz Whip. The Skull Eaters were a lot more friendly going in this place than going out, I'll say that. You can kill these guys easy in World 3, but if you want to kill them now, self-destruct or question marks is your best bet. Finally, I get back to the plot to Sandworm, and at first I was worried about its achievement since it said only using party targeting spells, but right after that I remembered, oh yeah, Aqua Breath is one of those. I get to do the best puzzle that Square forgot about before getting into it with Crayclaw, whose mission is to kill it while it's asleep. I think it's pretty sad that I didn't even know about this guy being vulnerable to sleep because he's already so easy. That's just another layer of awful on top of this already pathetic boss. Not only should I have just thrown lightning scrolls at him during the level 1 run, I could have completely neutralized him with Sleep Sword. Anyways, the airship is now mine, which means my favorite World 1 grinding spot is free to abuse, the Black Flame Island. First off, you can get Dark Spark from these guys, which is a required blue spell for a handful of boss achievements, not even counting the Get All Blue Spells achievement. But more importantly, you can throw a single water scroll to insta-kill them for a great chunk of EXP, Gil, and ABP. Scrolls are only 200 Gil as a reminder. I also did some grinding on prototypes for Dark Matter and Ethers, but I don't think that ever ends up mattering. I think I only ever used Dragon Fangs out of all the crafting items. Tycoon Castle is calling for another flashback, and it's funny to imagine that Japanese baby Ferris has to remember numbers instead of the English ara/aga magic suffixes. In Japanese, do they actually say the English number 2, or is it the Japanese number 2? If it's the first one, I can at least imagine why she'd need to practice, otherwise it's a little goofy. I can totally imagine having to localize scenes like this is kinda weird. Just south in the meteorite, the Adamantoise attacks, but it falls victim to level divisible by 5, and another achievement is ours. The flamethrowers and rocket launchers get shredded by lightning scrolls. I still miss when it was called a mission, and the soul cannon similarly gets chunked heavily by them. The canon stipulation is that everyone has to be a different fire crystal job, only using fire crystal abilities, or nothing if you don't have any. Geomancer's out right away because Gaia literally cannot do damage to it, so Bartz is scroll spamming, Lena immediately throws out a stop song to prevent anyone getting olded, Galof is shooting lightning arrows, and Ferris is spamming the Blitz Whip to middling effect. Also, she caught a sand bear to chunk it, but scrolls are doing 90% of the work. If I could have put throw on everyone, I would have, but even that amount of grinding is excessive for me this early. White Wind and Thousand Needles gotten from the enemies in the Ronka Ruins, which is amazing. White Wind is actually my main healer in this run, even when I do have access to the Cure line. I think that's how I know I'm totally lost to the Final Fantasy V meta if I'm neglecting my White Mage. Also, I get a kick out of doing this. I love how fast the scrolls are. I was so excited seeing the achievement for Archaeoavis. It's killing him without him changing forms. I actually just recently had a handful of comments give me advice on how to do this exact thing, and I was able to use this info to the fullest here. Release a Ronka Knight to do just under the amount of the form change HP. Aegir to do sap for the kill. Kick ass. After some crystal dancing, ship exploding, Galof leaving excitement, there's another Ferris flashback. This one is really cute actually. She's scared of riding the wyvern. The king says, "Didn't you want to ride it?" And he takes off, and then Ferris yells, "Wait, I wanted to ride it!" Very relatable. As for the meteor bosses, they're mostly a non-issue. Hurabolus's requirement is killing them without triggering the Arise deaths, which I did with stop song abuse. Alternate methods include waiting for them to self-destruct, or waiting for them to die from poison, but stop song is so insanely good in this game. There is almost no regular encounter throughout all 3 worlds that are immune to it, and the ones that are mini-boss type heavy enemies like Villia, Shield Dragon, Sandcrawler, Mecha Head, stuff like that. It makes the Phoenix Tower a total non-issue and is definitely what I would have done had I bothered with it in the level 1 run. Anyway, the Manticore requires being beaten by Mix, so Death Potion, dead. Titan was the most complicated, required being killed while paralyzed. I tried for a couple times to use a whip, but the proc chance for me was super low. Maybe I was just unlucky. Fortunately, the comments on retro achievements came in clutch, and usually give you hints for the more obscure ones, and they reminded me that Remora exists. This is probably the only time I've ever seen this summon have a use. Before heading to Galuf's world, I was doing a last-minute checkup of my bestiary and chest completion. I've been pretty good about checking the guide during one-time only areas like the Ronka ruins and the castle escape, so I should be okay. I forgot to kill Forza. Okay, well, I meant to reload after getting the Frost Rod achievement, but my dumb ass, goldfish ass brain definitely failed me on that one. Guess I'm doing another run to do the bestiary once I'm done with this one. This video is called Part 1 for a reason, I guess. No use moping about it, I'm moving on. The Abductor is another annoying achievement. I have to steal the Gaia gear off him and then kill him. Realistically, this isn't that bad, just like all the other annoying boss achievements, because he's not heavy. This means I can Deathclaw him and do a basic attack once I do steal it. Plus, while the Gaia gear is a rare steal, it's also his only steal, meaning I don't have to redo the fight if I steal the wrong thing. But it's still rare, so there's a lot of failed steals on high potioning. I ran out of high potions on my first run, so I needed to restart, but thankfully I got it in the second or third steal in the second run. This is actually a very practical achievement too, because I got Titan like 10 minutes ago, so being able to boost it as soon as World 2 begins for free is fantastic. The thing that always gets me about the beginning of this world is how much expensive stuff there is. Anyways, Gilgamesh gets wrecked. I realize that Double Grip Berserker does insane numbers, and we're right into the big bridge. Gilgamesh's shtick is that I have to not let him buff himself, which could be achieved in a couple ways. If I'd gotten Magic Hammer against Byblos, I could have just wailed away with that until his MP was empty, although that would have taken forever. I tried a couple times to silence him with the Mage Masher and Silence, but the proc chance felt like it was almost zero, similar to Titan. I can't believe I actually successfully used Silence on the second phase once. I fled once again to retro achievements for a potential solution, and I was met with the most unexpected of answers: Mute. That usually completely useless spell was actually the perfect solution for this fight. I just needed a team of meleeers and went to town. I even just saw the insane damage of Double Grip Berserker. I also should have used haste a few times before I shut off magic forever, but it really didn't matter because our damage was through the stratosphere. Gilgamesh had no chance. The big bridges escaped, I guess, and immediately feel the dopamine release from getting that Gaia gear for free. In the nearby town, the level 4 magic is obtained, as well as the 6th piano, which honestly I feel like it's more deviously hidden than the Phantom Village one. And might as well make some money while I'm here. The innkeeper's feeling generous enough to let us stay at the inn to have a drink with Galof. I get a kick out of cutscenes like this in any game. There's no music, no sound, just two characters having a heart-to-heart. It's great. If you get through the sealed castle as soon as you get to it, you can see an optional scene with Galof being awestruck by the legendary weapons, which has always struck me as odd because his world only has like 10 places to visit in it, and they have access to wyverns. For my interest, this is the best place to level grind in World 2, and maybe in the entire game, but I never needed to do that, so the Mughal Waterway is one of my least favorite dungeons, just because it's the perfect combination of not very interesting to look at, no cool treasures, lame enemies that die instantly, and shitty boss that also dies instantly. Like, I'm not a fan of the barrier tower, but at least you can get a lot of blue magic, reflect rings, and a gold hairpin from it. Speaking of this boss, this is the first time I've ever had to not insta-kill him, because I have to not use white, mix, or an item. So instead, I will use Deathclaw to two-shot him, which makes him 100% harder. Another thing working against this dungeon is that you have to slowly walk in these forest tiles to avoid the sand crawlers. No encounters, just walking around trying to remember where the Mughal walked so you don't waste time going down a dead end. Everything involving the Mughals is extremely annoying. I hate these guys. At least now I'm at Mughal Castle. Teleport is insanely convenient. The shopkeepers hand over a Lamia's tiara, which never sees the light of day, and I wouldn't be surprised if I just sold it immediately. There's a great sword in the water, which does get used with Spellblade a lot. And finally, I get access to French statue farming. Although, for the first time ever, I think, I don't actually do any of that. The abductor gets embarrassed yet again, and I'm walking around looking for Cornagos. It actually takes an obnoxiously long time for one to show up, but when it does, I'm death-clawing his ass and getting straight to Kelb. Bart kicks a dog, I get the gourd, which I don't think I ever actually use because I have Deathclaw, and I remember to get Requiem this time, which is good because Requiem kicks ass. The level song might be the best song objectively, but I got infinitely more use out of Requiem because of all the undead I actually fight and don't run away from. I am still pissed that I forgot to get it in that support plus berserker run. Between that and Stop Song, my opinion of Bard has increased dramatically, plus the fact that it's the fastest to master job alongside Geomancer helps it a lot. Thank God you don't need a harp to use Sing, I thought you did for the longest time. Before leaving, Bartz devours the whole town's food supply like he's Goku, and heads off to Drakenvale to immediately spam the shit out of Requiem. It and a Flame Scroll kill bone dragons, it plus Flamethrower from the Blue Mage kills a zombie dragon for easy dragon fangs, and I should remind you all that songs cost no MP. I also finally get Magic Hammer, which is a key player in an endgame achievement, but I'll get to that when it's relevant. Finally, before the boss, Requiem gets spammed yet again to get one of the best summons, Golem. I love Summoner so much, I wish I could use it in my challenge runs more. The Dragon Pod requires that Lena be the only one to hit it, so I just have her spam Deathclaw until it works, then kick to take out the flowers, which works fantastically. For a long time I struggled to take out the flowers because they were basically immune to the aura magic, but kick, of all things, is now my go-to. The dragon's all better, guess I'll go visit Gito. I guess I do have better things to do, like get Float and Speed Song from Surgate Castle. Surgate? I wish there was a pronunciation guide in this game. And soon after, we meet up with Zezat himself, doing battle with Gilgamesh. This fight necessitates I use Dark Spark on him in the first half, and naturally, there's achievements for stealing all the Genji equipment throughout this and the subsequent encounters. Once Enkidu shows up, boom, level 5 death, thanks for playing. Like I said a bit earlier, Barrier Tower isn't my favorite, but there is a lot of cool stuff. Reflect Ring, Time Slip, level 3 Flare, and let me stop right there and say I apologize for putting this move in B tier in the blue magic ranking. It definitely deserved at least A. I used it so much in this run, I did not know how much stuff was vulnerable to it. In the couple runs before that video that I did try to use it, nothing was the right level, so I must have just had shit luck with my attempts, but this time around I was much more liberal about it because I got so many comments talking about it. This, naturally, led to basically everything in World 3 getting nuked, but once again, I'll get to that later. Level 2 Old, level 4 Graviga, which completes the level magic in one dungeon, and Atomos, which needs to be killed in 2 moves. Apparently, missed moves count, so if your Dark Sparks miss, reset and try again. I only needed 3 attempts, but I can definitely see some people taking way longer. Zezat might be dead as hell, but I get the amazing level 5 magic and the 7th piano, so it's looking up for us. The achievement for Ketobelpass is speaking my language because it requires it be killed with a released monster, and say no more, shithead. Moving into Gitos Cave, the Aga magic might be fantastic, but getting Eroga is a huge pain. I really should have just had 4 blue mages or put learning on everyone, but I was just lazy. First off, it's a pain to find the enchanted fan metamorph, but even then, you have to make sure he hits the right guy before immediately changing back. Over in the Forest of Moor, I commit arson, and personally I find this place to be a good place for Aqua Breath. Those weird Gala jellies barely have any HP, but absorb every element and have super high physical evasion. So a party-wide, never miss non-elemental move is great. I still wish the MP cost was significantly lower, but at least I have a gold pin now, so I'll take what I can get. I also got Mini Song from the Mini Mages, but I forgot to record it. Exdeath burns the forest down, and I'm finding it hard to feel bad without also feeling hypocritical, but the bigger issue is the crystals. This fight specifically is what I farmed the Death Scythes for, aside from just being practical. Each party member needs to damage their own elemental crystal, so Bartz needs to attack the Wind one, Lena the Water one, and so on. Between our shields, Golem, and back row status, we're practically unkillable, but these things are level 77, so actually getting the death effect to proc makes this a really long waiting game. Luckily, no one ever did enough damage to cause them to start using the elemental attacks, but I was getting worried enough that I started casting Cure on them. Hey, Galof is doing pretty good here. Oh. So, Gitos Cave. This is something I've never done before. I already know the strategy I want to use because I tried and failed this during the level 1 run, but that doesn't make it any less annoying. Critical HP Knight strats are coming back in full force here with the Bone Mail for protection against all the debuffs inflicted by Turtle. Although it sadly does not protect against Sap, which doesn't affect me here, but since at level 1 you only have like 30 HP, that's a much bigger deal. And it's not like you can use Cure or heal with potions, the Bone Mail makes you undead. You might say, well, use a Flame Ring or Ice Shield or something similar, but even with Ferris as the caster, she had 22 HP max, and I have to go through a lot of ethers to keep the knight alive. The Gill Turtle has so much goddamn health, you are going to be taking so long during this fight whether you're level 1 or level 30, and to be frank, I'm not sure how you're intended to do this fight other than this strategy. This guy just shits out damage, takes forever to kill, and hits you with almost every debuff in the book when you can only have one Bone Mail. Why didn't Galoof's World domesticate these guys and have them beat Exdeath instead? Oh, whatever. Anyways, you'll eventually kill him and just have to make it to the end of the hallway to get the achievement, then just teleport out. I don't really get why dogs are weak to fire in this game. Carbuncle is thankfully easy. When it goes into healing mode, just spam Kotobel Pass and hope it works, easy achievement. Gilgamesh, similarly, is easy, and unlike his previous fights, doesn't have a gimmick achievement other than stealing his Genji equipment. Thank you. Exdeath was an interesting one, because it's here that I finally realized how insanely overpowered the party was. I'm so used to despairing over this guy that I kinda went overboard and killed him before I could do the thing that I'm supposed to. But for real, I have Hastika, Golem, Shell, Protect, Rod boosted Aga and summon spells, White Wind to immediately negate any notable damage he does manage to inflict. He does not stand a chance. But I'm being very careful about my damage here the second time around, because there's one very important thing to do. Gilgamesh sends his regards. Well, he's dead and the world is saved. For Antlion, the goal is to kill it without it fleeing, which is easy as casting Sleep, then nuking away. I don't even know what's happening here. This song is such a dick move, you only have this opportunity to get it, because as soon as you beat the pyramid, it's gone forever. I also sidestepped said pyramid to grab the chicken knife. I didn't have it maxed at this point, but I don't remember when I did, so fuck it. The gargoyles is when I truly started experimenting with level 3 flare. 2 of them just destroys them outright, that is amazing. But that's not the important thing. The pyramid achievement is probably the coolest in the game. You have to go through the entire thing without healing your MP or saving and loading. You have to get all the chests, and you have to kill all the mecha heads in that one room, all in the same run. This took some thinking, but it's actually much less scary than it sounds. The worst part about it is just knowing where all the chests are, but as long as you have a guy with Flee, the exploration is much less intimidating. So right off the bat, I need Sing to deal with the copious amounts of chest monsters that are just for the damned. I mean, it's just generally useful because most of the enemies here are undead, but I primarily chose it for that. Second, Spellblade is a must because Thundaga Spellblade insta-kills the robots, and the MP cost is very manageable as long as you only use MP during that room. Last, and I already mentioned this, Flee is basically mandatory because of this fucking lady. I don't know if it's just me, but I cannot LR run from this encounter, and it can be a pretty hard one because she evades physicals a lot, and I don't want to waste my MP on her, so I'm not dealing with it. I also have Bartz as a ninja for throw because I like doing this. One of my favorite animations in the game. As for the chests, like I said, as long as you're good about checking all the doorways, the only room that might trip you up is this one, but it could definitely be worth it to have a thief both for avoiding back attacks and seeing the hidden passages. I assume that you could save state through this dungeon to cheese it, but I'm actually so confident in showing that I didn't cheat that in the description I'll link to an unlisted video of the full pyramid run with commentary over it. It probably won't be scripted, and I'll put in different music because I played through it with no sound, but it will be there. there. Well, that was fun, but moving on from that, Melusine requires that I beat her without her form changing. And while she's vulnerable to sleep, I'm pretty sure that wasn't even necessary because our damage output has almost reached critical mass. She just gets obliterated by the rod-boosted Faragas here. Uh-oh, Exdeath is breaking shit again. Oh, thank God. It's the side quest lightning round. Getting the magic lamp, heading to Phantom Village for the level 6 magic, Mirage Vest, and final piano, visiting the pirate cave to reunite with Sildra, killing this guy, Breakblade on Odin to beat him in less than 20 seconds, and the Phoenix Tower. The achievement here is to deliberately choose the wrong door on every floor, when available, to kill all the door guardians. And while this sounds on paper like a challenge equivalent to the pyramid one, it really isn't. All random encounters are completely stuffed by stop song, and all door guardians are blasted by rod-boosted Aga spells. Stop song, Aga spell, stop song, Aga spell, occasional magic pot, all the way to the top to get a summon that I don't even use. Here's a summon I will use though. Here's a great way of finding the Stingray, the quick save bug. Just quick save, quick load, and the second encounter here will be your one-way ticket to a free mighty card. Hey, and now that I'm at Crescent, I can show the bard there Bartz's piano skills. And the bard songs are complete. The island shrine is pretty uneventful, but at least I get Doom out of it, because Exdeath sure wasn't gonna hand it over. Wendigo's achievement is actually the same as the Sandworms, in that only party-wide attacks can be used. Wendigo's counter to moves like this is a full party frost, so just slap on a couple ice shields and you're invincible. Or you could use some mixes, but this is way easier. He was at least nice enough to give me Mind Blast before he died, which saves me a couple hours from having to get it in the final dungeon. And since I'm one blue spell away, I hop over to the rift to get it. Here's where I really go nuts with level 3 Flare. These desert enemies give lots of rewards for getting instantly nuked by this super cheap spell, and it only continues from here. But I finally get what I came here for, the final blue spell, Roulette. What a spell to end it on. The Fork Towers gimmick is interesting, although it might be what you expect. You have to kill Minotaur with only mage jobs, and Omniscient with only melee jobs, and you can't cheat by giving magic to the meleeers and vice versa. This is pretty simple enough. Just going to town with the chicken knife and sage staff was more than enough to beat Minotaur since he would rarely punch through all my dodge chants. Omniscient, likewise, was a cakewalk, firstly because he's deathly allergic to Reflect Ring itis, and more importantly, Silent Spellblade completely shuts down his return counters. Once you're set up, the only thing threatening you is Drain, which he does so rarely I'm not sure what makes him use it. And after that, the final black and white spells are mine, and by association, the last Spellblades. Bahamut needs to be killed before he uses Mega Flare, so there's no time to waste. I'm full double grip, dual wield, flare blade, Spellbladers for the front row, and maximum flare / holy for the back. I'm surprised I was able to inflict slow so easily since Bahamut is level 99, so my spell accuracy should be taking a big hit, but this is one of those things that we just roll with. Bahamut, naturally, does not get very many turns in between all our nuking, so it's only a matter of time. I now have a submarine. It's time for all the underwater stuff, and Sunken Walls Tower is another notable one. You have to enter, get the shard, and leave in 4 minutes without using the extra airtime chest. Very important to note that teleport does not work, and I seriously gotta know how they program the achievement like that. Seriously, the techno wizardry is off the charts. But because of that, I failed the first time, so the second go was successful with plenty of time to spare. For some reason, escaping with L+R is faster than using Flee, which I read in one of the comments on Retro Achievements, so I just did that instead. But I'm pretty sure using Flee still would give me enough time. Alternatively, you could just wait until you have advanced jobs and get read ahead from Oracle to dramatically lower the encounter rate, but like, if you have to rely on Oracle for anything, good luck. This is looking ahead a bit, but thank God the Oracle wasn't required for any achievement. You need the Gladiator for one and the Cannoneer for another, but the achievement makers weren't that cruel. Time to go see Mr. Cleo. I always knew this guy existed, but never bothered to find out where he is, and now I know, and I see what I've been missing. This animation is sick. The Great Sea Trench is next up, and I won't go on about Requiem again. It's implied in a dungeon that is literally only undead enemies, including the boss. Also, until this run, I never knew this room was a puzzle to get a chest. I thought the puzzle was just making sure you didn't fall into lava when the floor opened up underneath you. Very cool. This place and Gitos Castle are also the only 2 times Geomancer was used for the lava floor, but really I should have just used Float. The achievement here actually wants you to use the magic lamp, which surprised me. I was totally ready for it to be something like only use single target attacks to kill them? That might have been a cool one. I mean, the solution would just be to deathclaw them all because they're not heavy, but still, it'd be something. But for beating them, the time magic list is complete with Meteor. Final tablet dungeon. Nothing much happens here. There are a couple things about this interaction that look wrong, though. I also fight a Tonberry for the first time, that was cool. This dude has so much health, he's probably stronger than most bosses in the game. If he had innate haste, I'd probably shit myself. Leviathan requires only doing damage with Sildra while also not having coral rings to make the fight a complete non-issue. Mighty Gar and the Hermes Sandals still do that, but at least he can theoretically do damage to us, even if that doesn't really come to pass. Anything done is easily whisked away by a white wind. But for our efforts, the final summon Leviathan is mine, and sadly for him, it's another one I'll never use. Last minute things before the final stretch. Grabbing the rest of the sealed weapons, getting the advanced jobs, farming for more dragon fangs, and getting this hidden ribbon that I'm legitimately surprised wasn't an achievement. I feel like most players forget about this girl. You're gonna have one for the Blitz Whip, but not for the secret ribbon? Level 3 Flare nukes our way through the rift, and Califisteria has one of the funniest achievements, beating her without letting go of the confirm button. With Memory Cursor, this means you have to set up your commands in the previous encounter, which means I have a rapid-firing Ferris, Bahamutting Lena, level-songing Krill, and an aiming Darts. Kinda got lazy on that one, but when a Reflect Ring neuters her AI so badly, it's kinda hard to mess this up or even care. A panda had yet another interesting fact for me to learn. This one says to kill him while he was afraid. Just on a guess, I assumed it meant Ifrit since he's a copy of Byblos, and sure enough, that makes him afraid and he wastes turns curing himself of fear. Pretty cool detail, although this easy boss really didn't need to be easier. I'm just glad the achievement still pops up even if you kill him with Ifrit. Azalmagia requires he dies in a non-reflect ring way, which can only mean one thing to me. Catastrophe is the same strategy always. Halicarnassus is just annoying because there's a lot of stipulations. Your party has to be living frogs, and the only damage done to him can be his reflected holies. They do a shit ton of damage, but he does them very rarely, only at the end of his AI cycle. He can shell himself to make him do half damage, and I'm personally more annoyed than I should be because he killed one of my frogs at the very end of my first attempt. Then next turn holied himself to death, meaning that was 5 minutes down the drain, alas. Twintania is yet another kill them in one move boss. Just wait till Gigaflare, then more stealing from Gilgamesh, then I run into an unexpected group. I kinda panicked on seeing these guys. I've never tried to fight movers because I've never needed to farm off them. Plus I always assume they have some crazy gimmick along the lines of you need to kill all of them simultaneously or something bad happens. I still, after finishing this run, don't know if that's the case, for the record. These rewards are something straight out of a ROM hack. So, for Necrophobe, I have to grind up Gladiator a bit, so I can abuse the quick save bug yet again. Just like the Stingray, the second encounter in this room are the movers, and they go down much faster after I find out they're weak to fire. I kinda wonder if all areas in this game guarantee a rare encounter on the second fight after a quick load, but I don't feel like testing it. The Necrophobe fight, I kinda fucked myself for by not pairing correctly. My party is set up for like killing him, because as indicated earlier, I'm insanely overpowered, but I forgot to have a thief for stealing the last Genji equipment for when Gilgamesh shows up, and he does not give a lot of time to steal it with a thief knife. So unfortunately, I have to keep using return like a dumb fuck, because I didn't save after doing my mover farming. The Necrophobe part of this fight is easy, I just have to kill the barriers with Blade Blitz, and Necrophobe is weak to every element, so shredding his HP is no problem. I had a huge wave of relief when I finally stole that Genji piece. So long, Gilgamesh. Well, before I beat this game, the main game anyway, I'm gonna master some jobs to max out everyone's stats. I went a little overboard. Anyway, Omega. As shown in the level 1 run, he's totally neutered by Stop Song, my beloved, and I think Combine from the Cannoneer is required because that allows you to hit slow through Omega's innate reflect, which means bye-bye robot, and we easily get the achievement. Shinryu I similarly cheese with Berserk and Critical HP Knight, and just wailed on him. Except, oops, I was supposed to kill him with Sap, and I saved over the file, oops. But like, I was gonna have to do another run anyway for the bestiary and chests, so this doesn't bother me so much. But enough stalling! Or, I would say that, but Xdet just wants to fast forward and void everything immediately. Good thing Galof is here to stop that shit, let's do this. Sadly, the last two Xdet fights are pretty underwhelming. This first one I have to drain all 30,000 of his MP before moving on to Neo Xdet, which is accomplished by just spamming the shit out of Magic Hammer. It has very low accuracy, so I start spamming Dragon Powers to raise our levels, which helps spell accuracy, since level difference has a pretty significant impact on that. I should have had all 4 party members be mimes, so I could just do a constant stream of mimicking free Dragon Powers, but like, I have over 40 Dragon Fangs, who gives a shit? Neo Xdeath's achievement is at least novel. The goal is to kill all 4 sections with level 5 death, accomplished through copious use and abuse of Samson's Might and Darkspark. They don't all have to be at the same time, so I kill off the top 2 parts because they require the least work, then I work on getting the bottom 2 to the correct levels before eliminating at the same time. And that's the base game of Final Fantasy V. As you can see, the video is labeled Part 1, so we'll be back eventually for the advanced content, which I've never even done normally before, so that'll be cool. But before that, and before the video ends, and as a gift to those who have made it this far, I want to ask a kind of philosophical question. Have you ever thought about, well, fate is probably way too melodramatic a term for it, but like, the string of events in your life that have gotten you to where you are today? When I was in middle and high school, I watched Let's Plays all the time. Azure Blade 49, Proton John, Nintendo Capri Sun, SSOH PKC, Big Tip on a Bus, lots of them. Naturally, this made me consider making my own gameplay through videos. However, I also watched a lot of Retsupre, and through that I knew, if I want to do this, I have to do it right, because I had no equipment, no talent, and no desire to try fixing those things at the moment. My enjoyment of Let's Plays even extended to enjoying text-based ones on LP Archive, and through that website I found Orange Fluffy Sheep's LP of Final Fantasy V Advance. Before reading that, my only experience with this game was trying it on a non-functional emulator on my parents' 2007 Mac. That thing couldn't even save or save state, so I didn't get far. But through that LP, I was super interested in everything about 5, all the stuff to find and goofy dialogue to read. Eventually, obviously, I played through Final Fantasy V Advance for real, and enjoyed it a lot, as I knew I would. Completely separate from this, many years later, in like late 2019 or early 2020, Humble Bundle has this big sale on Vegas Pro 14. It's like 20 bucks or something, and after seeing Jam make videos for their channel, I was vaguely interested in making videos myself. Well, to summarize it, I like editing videos a lot, so eventually I bothered to make my own commentated challenge run of Paper Mario 64, since I both had the tools to make videos, and I wasn't living with my parents anymore. The quality of that playthrough can be debated, but the fact is that I did it, and slowly got better at it. And then, all of these seemingly unrelated things culminate in the video of me and Jam talking about the Final Fantasy V jobs. It got decent views at first, more than I usually get, but then out of nowhere I guess it got put into an algorithm and got way more attention than I could have expected. Which leads me to now. Look at how many things in this video were a result of me focusing more on Final Fantasy V content because of that video, and learning directly from the community, being either my comment section or the Retro Achievements page. The Ronka Knight's Aegir strategy against Archeoavis, level 3 Flare actually being insanely useful, spell accuracy being tied to level differences, the amount of missable flashback cutscenes in Tycoon Castle, a panda being afraid of Ifrit, and that's just a fraction of the stuff that was in the video. If I look at things that weren't, we could have question marks being effective against the Skull Eater, Berserker being way more capable than I ever thought it could be, the practical mixes and captures that I neglected to mention in my videos, using Confuse to get blue magic in place of the Beastmaster, and hell, even if I wasn't the first one to do it, there's no way I would have thought about doing a level 1 run if I didn't think there'd be an audience for it. And all of this theoretically started because I watched a lot of Let's Plays as a teenager. As far as the real world goes, a super niche, only 3,000 subs gaming YouTube channel learning things about a 1992 Super Nintendo game is pretty low on the priority list of things you should give a shit about. But even something as low stakes as this makes me wonder about how much of life is is like that. A bunch of seemingly random events linked only by your personal experiences, but actually become something greater than the sum of its parts. Maybe that's why this game is so special to me now. Despite not being one of the most popular in the series, its fan base is still passionate down to the core. The fact that someone was able to beat the game with a solo berserker says a lot about the nature of the human spirit. Beating the game with the best jobs, the worst jobs, only one job, one character, no experience, no money, no equipment, no dreams, no hope. Making randomizers, rebalances, and custom jobs, the sky's the limit for this game and its community. And if I had never taken the opportunity to grab a video editing program for 20 bucks 5 years ago, I don't think I would have experienced it. I hope you enjoy these Final Fantasy V videos because I enjoy making them, and will be for the foreseeable future. And who knows, maybe the next time Humble Bundle does a Vegas Pro sale, you'll pick it up and discover a passion you never knew you had. Stranger things have happened.